Welcome to another episode of the Character Podcast with Steve Hill MBE, a teacher, adventurer, author and mentor who has made it his life's mission to inspire others to dream big and achieve more. From leading young people in the classroom to taking on some of the world's toughest challenges. Whether climbing mountains, running across deserts or completing epic expeditions, Steve knows what it means to push past limits and lead by example. In this podcast, you'll hear inspiring stories, powerful lessons, and uplifting conversations designed to help you build resilience, embrace challenge, and believe in your own potential. So get ready to be inspired by the unstoppable force that is Steve Hill MBE. Steve, welcome to the show. Great to have you on board. We're finally here.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for inviting me along. It's great to catch up with you.
Fantastic. And I can see recent weeks, we're at the back end of the summer break at the moment, aren't we, in 2025? Recent weeks have been busy. You've been away?
They have, yeah. Been away. Just got back this week from Indonesia.
Cool.
My Indonesia Jungle Challenge. So it was running 200k through the jungles of Indonesia. So pretty much 5 marathons in 7 days, which was fabulous. Yeah, great adventure.
Legs all right?
Legs are all right. Quite a few bites on the legs.
Toenails still there?
Toenails, I've got one coloured toenail, which more than likely will come off in a few weeks. Which I'll just add to the bagging class, but I'll tell you more about that later.
Oh
maybe.
dear, that sounds like an interesting bag.
Yeah, we have a little for the kids back at school. But yeah, it was fabulous. Great country, great people, great culture. A long way to travel to, but yeah, it was fabulous. Everything expected. Awesome. Really tough challenge, really hot, humid.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy the jungle environment.
It sounds that way. I mean, last night, Steve, just for the listeners, I make a few notes for these pods, and I always try and get some key milestones that people have had in life, and they're all inspiring. And I read yours and I thought, I can't name them all. This is quite long. You've done a crazy 16 years, so hopefully over the next hour or so we can really explore what them 16 years have been like. And also in terms of education, what you're doing at the moment, working in schools is still fascinating. Really lively on the socials, really lively on LinkedIn. You've got this great following because you do so much amazing work. But for the listeners that don't know much about you and who you are, you'd like to give us a quick summary?
Yeah, Steve Hill. First and foremost, I'm a teacher, a class teacher. I've been teaching now for 29 years, and it's gone past in the blink of an eye. So I'm a deputy head teacher and currently teaching in year 4. And it's the greatest privilege in the world. I love being a teacher, I love being part of these children's lives, and being on the journey with them. There's nothing better. But a big part of my purpose as a teacher is, yes, teach the children, educate them, get the best out of them, but also hopefully to inspire them.
Absolutely.
Inspire them to have big dreams, to follow those dreams. And I'm telling them all the time that, we're all entitled to big dreams. And our dreams should not just excite us, even frighten us.
Yeah.
And if they don't frighten us and excite us, they're not big enough. Yeah. And no one in the world has the right to tell them that their dreams are too big.
Absolutely.
They've got to believe it, they've got to follow it, and they'll live the most exciting lives. And I bring all my adventures back into the classroom, and hopefully, as I say, it inspires them and plants that small seed of adventure amongst these future adventurers.
Absolutely.
Hopefully. So it brings a new dimension into the classroom. 100%. It makes learning a little bit more exciting.
And Steve, the working with kids is character testing in itself, but doing the adventures as well is extremely character testing in terms of how you respond to these situations. And today we'll get under the skin of some of the highs and lows of those challenges, because it sounds extremely extreme. But what does character mean to you? Character,
for me, it's a massive part of life. I think character for me is the backbone that really shapes who we are as people. It's our values, our principles that we live by. It's how we treat other people. It's how we are when people aren't watching. And I think it's about how we respond to situations and, things in life, setbacks in particular.
Sure.
Do we have a setback, a failure, and we quit and give up? Or do we just dig a bit deeper, grit our teeth, and we get on with it? Ask for help if we need to. So I think good, strong character is, that backbone of who we are as people. And I think it really needs to be developed in young people today, because, as I say, we're going to come across setbacks in life. Life's tough.
Absolutely.
And we need to have that character, that strong character, to be able to deal with, everything that life throws at us. And that will be setbacks along the way, and that's quite all right. It's quite normal. It's when we often learn the most. So
sure thing.
A good, strong character will take you anywhere in life.
Absolutely.
Skills and talents will open doors, if you like, but your character will keep that door open and take you places.
I love that, Steve. And I suppose from a development perspective, your character is generally something that, I suppose you're born with a certain amount of character through DNA, and then a lot of it is influenced by your surroundings as a child. You know, your parents, your friends, your general social network you have when you're so young. What was yours like, and was there any particular moments or people in your childhood that influenced that?
Yeah, I mean, I look back, sometimes people say, you know, how come you take on these adventures? And there are, you know, many reasons for that. But looking back, it was a good, healthy, wholesome childhood.
Yeah.
You know, it was outdoors. There was no devices. It was pre-computers.
Right.
And we played out. I had a good gang of mates, and we played out, and we had adventures on a regular basis. We used our imagination. We'd go and explore. We'd camp in the back garden at a young age. We'd climb trees. We'd make dens. We'd go and explore old abandoned buildings and so forth. And our lives were outdoors in our little gang of, you know, our merry band and merry gang of friends. And it was just a fabulous time. And, you know, you didn't realise at the time, but it was just, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
It was an outdoorsy, adventurous, pushing boundaries childhood that then progressed, you know, through school to start playing more sports. And a big part of my life then was playing sports, playing rugby for 15, 16 years to a reasonable level up at Waterhead Rugby Club in Oldham. And the friendships I made there are friendships that I still have today. You know, I've lasted a lifetime. And the lessons I learned as being part of a rugby team, where you back your mates up, you know, it's a tough, there's no hiding places, and you work hard and give your all, were lessons again that have set me in good stead for the remainder of my life. So yeah, it all started at a young age, I'm sure, and just enjoying the outdoors and being part of a team and pushing myself and being the best that I can be at what I do.
Absolutely.
But I never wanted to be a teacher, believe it or not, as I was growing up. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I wanted to be in the SAS. I wanted, you know, this exciting sort of job, you know, going forward. Police officer, never teaching, but here I am, 29 years into the job.
Sure.
And loving every minute. So yeah, it was a mum actually who put me onto teaching.
Right.
So surprisingly.
So do you take many of those? Because what it sounds like, Steve, was quite an idealistic childhood in many ways. That it was a lot of fun, a lot of play, a lot of care and love, etc. I bought a lot outdoors. Naturally, the screen time wasn't there to be had. So a way of having fun was to exit the house, play with your friends, and come in when it's dark. And that's probably reputable for people that up until 10 or 15 years ago. Do you try and instill a lot of those values into the young people that you work with in schools about the importance of, I suppose, what could be described as traditional values?
Absolutely. I get them outdoors as much as I can. During the week, a lot of sports and PE. I'll take them at the end of the day for a little bit of run around, you know, we play kingy and so forth, little games we've made up, which they love. And I'll get them out into the local parks and the outdoors. We go litter picking quite often and out to local parks, Tan Little Park. We'll do a bit of climbing trees and sort of discovering dens and getting inside dens and getting down and getting muddy. And they love it. And they're saying, sir, this is great. And I'm pretty much saying back to them, this is called childhood. You should be doing this. You should be getting out playing. And at the end of the day, the sun's shining. I always say to them, right, guys, home at tonight, go and play out for half an hour.
Right.
Get out on your bike, go and play out. And I know there's reasons why children don't play out and safety reasons, but just being out in the open air, you know, the fresh air, nature, it's the best natural medicine, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, just clear your mind. And sadly, you know, a lot of children don't. They're in their rooms all the time at a younger and younger age. All the devices, those distractions are there. And it's about trying to pull them away from those distractions, isn't it? And get them loving being outside, not being afraid of getting muddy and getting dirty, not being afraid of falling out of a tree, getting scuffed knees. You know, I always say, scuffy knees, you know, scabs on your knees, it's a sign of a good childhood.
Absolutely.
So all the time I'm encouraging them to get out and have their own little adventures. And when they come in on a Monday morning and they tell me what they've been up to at the weekend, they might have been climbing around Duff Stones up in Oldham or, you know, up Indian's Head. For them, that's a mountain. I always say that's your first mountain. And they're getting out there. It's a joy to hear that they are wanting to be out there and as I said, pushing their own boundaries and having their own little adventures.
So then ended up in teaching and a tremendous teacher, but what inspired you to do that? So you say you left school, wanted to get into the military in some way, it sounds like?
Some sort of action-y sort of job, absolutely, and that always did appeal. And I think I stayed on to my A-levels. I didn't want to go to university.
Right.
I was playing rugby at a good level then. I wanted to stay and carry on playing rugby, you know, on my local team with my mates. I went to win the police at that point, and you had to be 21 at the time. So I ended up getting a job as a trainee quantity surveyor in a local construction company. Sounded good, you know. I thought the girls would be impressed with that, as you do, as you know, quite an immature way. But I could start with that, and for 3 years I did a part-time degree, and was, you know, trained as a quantity surveyor. But it just wasn't for me.
Right.
It bored me. I was clock watching. I'd go home in the evenings. I'd moan to my mum, and this is not for me. And mums are the best, you know, source of advice all the time, and very direct. Stephen, stop moaning about it and do something about it. Simple as, and absolutely. And she said, have you thought about teaching? She worked in a local school herself, and I hadn't thought about teaching, and I dismissed it initially. I said, no, it's not for me. I love school, but I didn't want to go back as a teacher. But she planted the seed, and it grew, and I thought more and more about it. And I thought, well, give it a go. So I took 2 weeks leave from the job as a quantity surveyor. I did a week's experience in a secondary school and a week in a primary school, and I just loved it. And it just something just clicked, and I thought, this is for me.
Yeah.
And it was a decision then between secondary and primary, and then I opted for primary. There's just something special about having a class of generally 30 children for the whole year, seeing them develop, being on the journey together, as I said earlier. And I finished my job, went back to university to do the teaching degree for 4 years, and never looked back.
Right.
Loved every minute.
Yeah.
And yeah, 29 years has gone in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. So so when you finished your 3 years and then you went into teaching, have you been in the same school since, or?
No, so that primary school that I went into for that week's sort of experience, they kept a job open for me, so I ended up starting teaching there. Really? So I started teaching year 5 there
very nice.
for 4 years, year 6 for 3 years, and then I got the deputy headship at my current school, which is St Joseph's in Shaw. I've been there now for 22 years.
Oh,
so
cool.
Again, it's flown by, and I'm actually teaching children of past pupils now. So I've got kids saying to me, "Sir, you told my mum," and all that, and it's, "Oh, stop it! I knew that day would come, but it has arrived." And, even a little girl last year saying, "Miss Still, do you know you went to school with my granddad?"
Right. Okay.
So no, wasn't good, but
you don't look it, Steve.
No, thank you. I appreciate that, but it's just, like I said, been there a long time. It's nice to be part of the community, and I love that being part of that and being part of, like I said, those children's lives, and you know, teaching the kids of past pupils. It's smashing.
Definitely.
It's a privilege.
Definitely. And talk to us about rugby, Steve. So it sounds like you were a good competitive rugby player. What values did you learn about yourself in rugby, or what did it take to be a good rugby player?
Lots of things. Rugby, like I said, I played football up until about 14, 15, and a mate of mine had joined the local club, and he said, come down and, you know, have a go, and I just took to it.
Right.
It was commitment, determination, you know, being part of a team of like-minded people. Yeah. It's a tough sport, as you know. You know, there's no hiding in rugby. Exactly. And I played in the forwards, second row. Yeah. I just love the physicality of it. The tackles, the running the ball in, you know, the being part of that team, knowing your mates had your back. Yeah. And working hard in the week in training, knowing that you had to work hard to be able to perform on the field at the weekend and to hold your place down, but not to let your mates down. Yeah. And being part of that, you know, the social part afterwards was great as well. And I loved it. But looking back, at the time I probably didn't realise it, but looking back, I learned so many things, as I say, about myself, about character, about when, you know, the chips were down, you don't give up type of thing, and you dig deep, and you don't stop playing till the final whistle, and you know, the one in all in mentality of if it went off, you know, you're all winning together. And as I say, those mates are still my mates today. You know, we go out for a drink, we reminisce, and we all got utmost respect for each other because, you know, you look at a rugby match in many ways as you're going into battle every weekend, and those are your mates around you who have got your back. Exactly. And the importance of loyalty and, you know, as I say, and friendships. So it was the best decision I made at 15 to go and start playing rugby, and I had a good career if you want. It was amateur, but at a good level. You know, I represented the town team and English students, and just had a great time. A few operations, a few dislocated shoulders and fractured cheekbones and what have you. And you know, that was
a passage, isn't it?
Absolutely, rite of passage, and playing on with it. You know what I mean? There's an occasion where I got smashed to the head. I thought, oh, that was a real tough. Yeah. You know, I could feel some swelling under my eye, and I said to one of the lads, "Have we got a black eye in?" And no, everything's all right. And played on for another, 30 minutes till half time. Yeah. Came in at half time and the physio came over and said, "What the hell have you done?" Yeah. All my face had got caved in and what have you, and I'd had 3 fractures and a fractured eye socket, and I played for 30 minutes with that.
What the hell?
And it was whisked off to hospital, a week in hospital, operation, metal plate in the head and all that. So went back playing again afterwards, you know.
Right, so say, is that you done? But you carried on?
No, carried on, went back to it. But, you know, while I look back at it, thinking, I played for 30 minutes with a fractured skull and fractured eye socket. And bit scary that I don't know knocking it, but you do. The adrenaline keeps you going, and you don't let your mates down. You get on with it, and it's that mindset of you've not hurt me. Yeah. You know, I'm against your opposition. It's keep going.
Absolutely.
But all stories to tell, all scars. 100%. You know, tell a story, don't they? Yeah. So wouldn't change a thing. And like I said, that progressed and instill that in the children. You know, I do a lot of sports with the children. So rugby, introduced them to it, football, cross country. You name it, every opportunity possible, every night of the week I'm out doing sports with the kids because it's something I love. Love doing it myself as a child. I see the benefits of it and want to instill it in the children. And more than ever, there's a less of an inclination from young children to do that because they want to get home on the devices sometimes, but it's getting them out there for that hour afterwards, getting the muddy, getting part of a team, and it's fabulous. So it's
What character values do you see in those teachers that you think, look back at or work with to this day, and there's something unique about them, there's something special about them, that they're going to withstand the journey of being a teacher?
You know, the teacher, you got to work hard, you've got to be organised as a teacher for sure, and you make sure when those children come in, you're ready for them.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the teacher who give of themselves, who are not afraid to let the children get to know them as an individual and sharing, their own lives with the children to a degree, and seeing those children as individuals.
Yeah.
You do go in the staff room sometimes and you hear, oh, those bloody kids and all this and that, and things saying, those bloody kids are why we're here. Those kids need us, and we need to be, upbeat and positive for those children. And it is those, you can tell when they're in it for the right reasons, where they go the little extra mile. Well, you might, you'll do the extra after school, you'll do the sports club after school because, you might not be sporty yourself, but you're happy to go out there and give them that opportunity to be part of a sports team. You go out with a whistle, you don't have to be experienced, just give those kids an opportunity. So for those who go the extra little bit of a mile, not the ones who are going out the door at 3:30 and coming at 8:30, the ones who will stay behind and just give that little bit extra for the children, I think makes a difference.
Yeah. So what have they taught you about you, the kids?
Oh gosh, what are they talking about me?
Or what do they test?
I'm getting older now at the moment. There's some kids who will, I'll get away with 24 these days, and they're very flattering. And there's the odd child says, "Don't be daft, sir. You're 53 and what have you." And they're not daft, but they do keep you young. They do keep you young. They keep you on your toes. And as I say, it's great to be part of that. But they teach me all sorts. They taught me 16 years ago in many ways that, I wanted to inspire children, wanted to make a difference. My classroom's full of motivational quotes. It's what I like to think I was living by and what have you. But there was that realisation, and that's where I think that the challenges, the adventure started, where I was preaching to the children. I felt I was preaching about following your dreams, coming out of your comfort zone, being the best you can be. And I'd always thought I was doing that, but I think a realisation, I'd finished playing rugby and what have you, that I wasn't actually doing it. I was preaching and not being the teacher that did. And I think it was that realisation that then made me take on the challenges. It was a case of let's get out there, let's push my own boundaries, let's follow my own dreams, let's reignite and re-engage with nature, if you like, getting out there, pushing boundaries, and use that to inspire the children. And that's where the adventure started back in 2009. And with no grand plan, it was just a case of going climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Obviously a high mountain, nearly 6,000 metres in Africa, a country I'd never been to before. And using that to inspire the children and to practice what's on the walls, the quotes, rather than just preaching to them sat in the corner of a desk. And it was an amazing adventure. It pushed me beyond anything, I'd experienced before. I think I was a little bit undertrained because I wasn't sure what I was getting into in many ways. Amazing experience to get to the summit. Couldn't wait to get back to class to share it with the children. And that infamous one-liner from the children I got back was, "What's next, sir?" And there was no plan to do any more. And it was like, what is next? Where am I going to go next? What's the boundary am I going to push next? And 1 year led to another year, to another year, and the challenges have just continued ever since to this week, as I say, getting back from Indonesia. And that decision 16 years ago to start taking on challenges, to bring it back to the classroom, was life-changing for me in many ways. It was a crossroads. It was a life-changing moment because it's allowed me to go to so many different wonderful parts of the world off the beaten track. I talk to the children about wow moments in life. You want wow moments where you just think, wow. And I've had so many wow moments, whether it's running under the Northern Lights, running past the erupting volcano, standing at the top of a volcano or mountain with the sun's coming up through the clouds. And I'm saying you need the same, follow these wow moments in life because that's what life's about. And I've met some amazing people. It's opened doors to do podcasts, like you do yourself now, and to become a Duke of Edinburgh Award ambassador and give awards out and talks at schools. Nothing I ever planned on doing, but it's just been an amazing journey since that moment of deciding to, go and take on challenges.
And was there a lead up, Steve, to that moment? Because that's quite a poignant shift in life, right? Especially when you've got an all-encompassing job up until 2009 of teaching, and to not give up the job. To give up the job and then make the change would be one thing. To continue doing what you're doing and then have these huge adventures and the charity, plus all the additional work that you do. Was there a lead up to that in 2009, or did you just...
Feeling a bit of a fraud, to be honest with you. And it'd been there for a while, and I mentioned it in the book, and it was writing the book, reflecting back on that time, it was a bit of a, I'm preaching to these kids, but am I doing it myself? Am I following my dreams? Did I have dreams when I was younger that I'm not following now? What am I doing to replace rugby? And the best advice I was given from the deputy head at the time when I finished playing rugby was, Steve, make sure you fill that time that you had for rugby with something else. Otherwise, the job will just become an all-encompassing. You need an outlet. You need something outside of teaching. And for 12 months, I don't think I did. And as I say, I'm all for motivational quotes. I can, I will, just watch me. And it was like sitting in my classroom, and I was just thinking, am I doing what I'm preaching to these kids? And the answer was no. I'm not. Well, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
What do I love? I love the outdoors. I love challenge. I love adventures. Am I doing that? I'm not. Right. Well, let's do something about it.
Yeah.
Have a little look around. Right. Mount Kilimanjaro. Wow. Yeah. I've heard a bit about it. Let's get it done. Made the decision to do it. That's the biggest hurdle sometimes, isn't it? Making the decision to start in the first place. Trained, involved the children in the training. They all got very excited about Africa and this mountain sir was going to challenge. It was all new to me. And then, yeah, the holidays came. The kids gave me a great send-off. I had little letters in envelopes saying, you know, to open on day one and day two and day three, etc. And off I went to Africa for the first time, which was an experience in itself. And then this huge mountain, you know, the highest mountain in Africa, in Tanzania. And off I went, yeah, a little bit into the unknown, and altitude kicked in as we got higher, and it was tough, and summit night was really tough. There was 8 of us in the group with some guides, and 4 got rushed back to camp with altitude sickness, and 4 was plodded on, and we got to Gilman's Point, and the sun was coming, you know, rising, and there were people being sick and feeling lousy, and it was like, wow, what's this all about? And then we still had a 3-hour round trip to get to Uhuru Peak, but it was just out there. It was adventure. It was, you know, discomfort, being uncomfortable, being dirty, camping every night, you know, not bathing and what have you. It was just a great experience. And then to get to the actual summit, and the guide just turning around to me and saying, Steve, congratulations, you've conquered the mountain. I got really quite emotional and got a bit choked up, and I'm thinking, what's happening to me? And it was about the realisation that this adventure, these challenges, are life-changing and emotional things, and it's going to take you around the world, and I can go back to class and share this with the kids. Yeah. And hopefully this will then inspire them, not just the quotes on the wall. Sir's done it, and if Sir can do it, then I can do it. Yeah. And as I say, I did it, came back, you want more.
So you got the bug then off the first one?
I got the bug off the first one, and I think those kids asking what's next, Sir, really then thought,
absolutely.
What is next, Sir? We don't set goals and follow dreams and then achieve those dreams and goals. Fabulous. Yeah. But then we don't sit back and that's it.
Sure thing.
What's next? What's next? And where can we go next? And what are we capable of? And I'm a firm believer that none of us know what we're capable of at all. We're all capable of more than we ever realise.
Sure.
And we start making those decisions and start saying, I can, as opposed to I can't. You're capable of more than you realise. I was
going to ask Stu, is that what drives you? But is that a part of what drives you to see what you can do?
It is now. I don't think at the time it was. It was a case of just getting out and coming out of my comfort zone. But every year since, the challenges got a little bit more difficult. Right. You know, whether it was a higher mountain or a tougher mountain or a further distance, if you like, because I was never a runner. And my first marathon was the Everest Marathon. I thought, oh, yeah, that sounds good. I'd never run a marathon at all. You know, at this point in my life, I never run a marathon. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to have that. My first marathon, because I'm not really a runner, I'm a determined plodder, will be the highest marathon in the world. And people thought, yeah, you're bonkers, you're daft. But no, this was going to be my first marathon. I was going to get to base camp and run a marathon at Everest. Wow, how exciting. And so that was in 2014, which was brilliant. And that's led me then to lots of other multi-stage running events. Not being a runner, as I say, I'm just a determined plodder. But yeah, it was about pushing boundaries. And then that realisation, if I can run one marathon, can I run 2 marathons? Can I run 3? Can I run 4? And I think there was a bit of that because after the Mount Everest Marathon, I thought, well, how can you beat that? Who can you surpass that? And the following year, I did the North Pole Marathon, which was my second marathon. So again, bonkers, running around the North Pole at minus 48 degrees, you know. It was ridiculous with guards on the course to scare away polar bears. You know, it was bonkers, but amazing to be stood at the North Pole. Then it was the Petra Desert Marathon. So again, extremes from minus 40 to sort of plus 40. But then there was a bit of that with the kids thinking, come on now, sir, up your game a little bit. You've done some of these tough marathons. Let's see, you know, sort of see if you can run a little bit further. And, you know, the big turning point in my eye was the following year, 2017, was the Amazon Jungle Ultra, multi-stage, self-supported race in the Amazon Jungle. So yeah, it was pretty much 250k through the Amazon Jungle, self-supported, sleeping in a hammock, but carrying everything, carrying all your food, your hammock, anti-venom pump, everything you need to survive in the Amazon Jungle for 6 days. I thought, wow, that is some adventure. I mean, God, way beyond anything I'd done before. Kids were so excited about that. So I might get eaten by all sorts of animals and what have you, but it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, but I wanted to do it. I did it. You know, I trained hard, got all the equipment, and then found myself in the start line in the Amazon Jungle with some of the most accomplished ultramarathon runners in the world. You know, well at my depth in many ways, but no, in other ways not, because I believe in myself, and a message I always give to the kids is through self-belief and hard work and determination and never giving up when things get tough, anything in life is possible. And I live by that myself, and I was on that start line, and I had no experience of multi-stage running, but I believed in myself, and I was going to have the best adventure. I wasn't going to race anybody, I was just going to make sure that I was pushing myself in that, you know, most, you know, toughest terrain where, the race director said before we started, be careful out there, guys, jungles are designed to kill. And it had everything. You teach the Amazon jungle in class, and I was in the Amazon jungle, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And there were ups and downs, and it's where, the trainer split, and we can talk about it more later if you like, but sleeping in a hammock at night, carrying everything. I was at the back of the pack, I was coming in, in the dark at night, others had finished way before me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't comparing myself to any of those people on that start line, at all throughout the race. Everyone was supporting each other. Yeah. The guy who came third in the MDS couldn't put a hammock up, so I ended up helping him put a hammock up on the first couple of nights. But that was another message to the children was don't go through life comparing yourself to other people because it will sometimes stop you doing things. I was on the start line of the Amazon Jungle Ultra, having never run an ultra before, just single marathons with some of the most accomplished runners in the world. Yeah. And I could have felt really insignificant, inferior there. I didn't. I felt really confident in myself, proud that I got to the start line. And that's a really big message, I think, for young people. Don't compare yourself to other people.
Absolutely.
Do your best in whatever you do, and no one can ask any more than that.
Do you look back at an event such as that, which seems seismic, and was there any dark times during that period? Yeah,
there are. And like I say, you do look back with rose-tinted spectacles. You remember the finish line. You remember getting to the finish and the medal and the celebration afterwards. You forget the likes of the down. But one that really stuck in my mind, as I mentioned about the trainer, and it's a full chapter. Well, it's a chapter in the book, Jungle Shoot, and it was at the end of stage one. So I'd prepared as well as I possibly could. Yeah. All the equipment, everything. The advice had been given. I'd finished stage one in the Amazon jungle. Came into camp pretty strong. Like I said, near the back of the pack. I'd often get the worst hammock spot because all the others had finished before me. I'd get one with full of ants and what have you. You get a bit of dry, hydrated food down you. Get your wet clothes off because your clothes are constantly wet. Probably getting 3 hours sleep a night, if that. Less sleep than the other runners because I was finishing later. We all started at the same time the following day, so I was doing it tough. I was much longer than those guys. Yeah. I was running through the night. And I would often say to those guys, you're finishing much faster than me, but you're missing out on part of this experience. I'm running in the night, so you're not getting that experience. I'm savouring this moment of being in the jungle. I'm sort of giving them advice, these experienced runners, saying, stop looking at your watches and your split times. Just take in what you're on. Because it's about enjoying the journey, isn't it, as much as anything. But the following morning, woke up, again, tired, but feeling strong for stage 2. Got my wet clothes back on, had a bit of dry food, hydrated food. And then went in to pick my trainers up, and there's a giant rip down the side of one of the trainers. A real turn. I thought, oh my God, Christ. When did that happen? Obviously the night before, not realised it. Whether I'd caught on a rock or something, or a crocodile maybe had just had a snap at me, always excited, or one of the other runners had sabotaged me, to slow me down. I don't know, I joke, but I sat there in disbelief. I think for the first time in any of the challenges, and in my life in many ways, I thought I'm going to have to quit. There's no other option. I'm going to pull out. I've got another, 5 marathons to run here. In the toughest terrain, and I've got a big retina trainers. I put it on my toes, almost my whole foot sort of came out through the side, and I thought, well, that's it, game over. And I thought about the kids back at school, and what would they say to me? What would they say to Sir? And they said, get on with it, sir. As I said to them, get on with it. Don't be quitting. I don't want to let them down. If it comes to the point where, there's a danger and you've got to sort of stop, you've got to listen to people with more experience than you. But if it's just your mind games yourself, there's no way it's going to happen. I spoke to the race director and I said, Chris, look at that. He went, what the hell have you done, type of thing? My God, just, use your gaffer tape. I went, gaffer tape? He went, yeah, everyone brings gaffer tape. I ain't got any. I take gaffer tape with me now in every challenge, but you're learning all the time, and I see that as every challenge I do with different types of challenges. I'm learning about myself. Right. I'm learning about what's needed. So gaffer tape now, it solves many problems. Yeah. Anyway, didn't have any gaffer tape, but other runners did, and we all pulled together. So they all gave me a bit of their gaffer tape. So I gaffer taped the trainer up, put a couple of zip ties on. Not ideal, lost all my grip, but it kept the trainer on my foot, and it kept my foot in the trainer. But it kept me in the race, and it continued through the stages. And I was out there for 54 hours in total.
And you used them for the rest of the race?
Used it for the rest of the race. There was no other option.
You've still got them?
Still got them. I do take when I do talks in school.
But you don't use
them? Take the trainer. It's been to Buckingham Palace. I've used it in talks there, and it's like the famous trainer, and I use it. And as I said, the trainer's a little bit like life. We work hard in life, and we prepare for all eventualities, but there's always going to be setbacks. Sure. There's going to be setbacks whether we like it or not, and however hard we work, we're going to get those setbacks. The setback's not important, really. Yeah. It's how we respond to that setback.
Absolutely.
We can sit there and feel sorry for ourselves. We can blame all the people around us and quit. Or we can sit there, we'd not like the setback, but we can look for solutions. Yeah. We can look for solutions. We can get the gaffer tape out and the zip ties and stay in the race. And that, for me, is a good lesson in life, isn't it? No matter what setback we've got, ask for help, ask for support, don't quit. Go a little bit slower sometimes and stay in the race. And that's applicable to all aspects of life.
Those values there, which are incredible, I suppose resilience is right at the core of that, right? That you've got. circumstance after circumstance, whether that be a physical challenge of being out of breath, legs tired, or something, out of your control, shoes breaking or whatever that might be, that value of resilience is pretty key. Do you speak a lot about that in schools?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I have this sort of challenge mode, I like to say, that I get on the plane and I flick into challenge mode, and you're going to get some uncomfortable times thrown at you, and it's just about dealing with them, and they're always going to be, and I thrive on those moments. I often say it's about being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it's remembering why I started in the first place. And let's get to that start line, let's get to that finish line, but let's enjoy the journey in between, whatever it is in life. And yeah, the kids are great cheerleaders. I always hear the voices, like you said, they give me little messages to take with me, little mascots, which often add a lot of weight to my pack. I have little teddies hanging on the back, I have the school ties on the back. And they're a massive motivation and inspiration. I want to finish the challenges. I want to show them that, anything in life is possible. And yeah, there's times in the Arctic or up the mountains or in the jungle where you've been out for hours and hours and hours. You're exhausted. You're pushing on. You've got many hours still to go. The easy options to quit, to stop. And there's always one of those little voices in your head that's saying, "Come on now, Steve, have enough. Enough's enough." But as I said to the kids, there's always that little one lone voice in your head that says, "Nope, come on, let's keep going. Let's ignore those other voices. Let's keep moving forward." If it's one step at a time, and another little mantra's left foot, right foot, repeat. Little steps, little steps, little steps. And wherever you're going in life, if you keep making those little small steps, you'll get there.
Well, probably around now, there's probably some people going, I had this teacher.
Yeah, that's
15 years ago, 20 years ago, he told me this.
So that, and that
mantra still sticks in the head.
That's what you dream as a teacher.
Absolutely.
Every time I bump into past pupils, we always have regale good stories. It's always, and it just warms your heart. You can't buy that as a teacher.
Definitely.
And they'll often stay and keep in touch. And okay, I think my first class now are about 38. So they're the proper adults. You know what I mean? And I taught them and. You've not changed a bit, sir. Remember this, remember that. And I just think you can't put a price on past pupils coming back, touching base, asking for a reference maybe or whatever. But speaking so positively about the time they spent in your class with you. Definitely. That's what teaching's about. Yeah, totally. It's having that impact. And as I mentioned earlier, through these challenges, it's given me opportunities to give talks in high schools, at award evenings and what have you. So, that's, a mega honour, giving awards out to, past pupils at high school and so forth. And then Duke of Edinburgh Awards. I found myself being invited down to St James's Palace to give gold awards out. And you sit there pinching yourself thinking, how the hell have I ended up sat here, being introduced, giving these awards out? And it's like, but then you think, well, why not? Why not? And what another message to say back to the classroom that, anything's possible in Buckingham Palace. And it was a few years ago where I was at St James's Palace giving the awards out, and there was 2 past pupils receiving the gold award that I taught in year 6. Wow, okay. They were now at university. Yeah. I thought, that's special. That's just what comes around into the whole circle. And that was really special. They were there with the parents and what have you. And magical, special.
Steve, you seem really driven on ensuring your pupils know a lot about character, about resilience and the values of teamwork and communicating and overcoming obstacles ultimately. What are the pressures that are around that though in terms of, because a lot of pressures naturally being a teacher, certainly in Key Stage 2, that you've got to hit specific criteria to try and teach that as well as instill a wide set of values and sometimes could be quite traditional values to a certain degree. Are there any constraints with that? Like what are the challenges that you can see in your role?
There are always some constraints, because there's so many demands on what you've got to get through just in a day sometimes, and it's ridiculous sometimes. It's from one thing to the next, and sometimes you've got to take a breather and just have that conversation with the children, because sometimes we are producing robotic kids who just write the date in the waltz, do the activity, finish, collect the books in, out again, new date waltz, and it's like just having time for conversations and having, sharing the adventures with them and so forth, and developing that mindset. I have a quote, I can and I will, just watch me. I can and I will. Fabulous. And a little girl last year, I'll always remember it, and I thought, the message is getting through about believing in yourself. She made me at the end of the year this welded, nice sculptured thing with a quote on, done it with her dad, and she's 9-10 year old, and it was, I can and I will, just like Mr. Hill. And I thought, why have I never clicked with that before? And I thought, the message is getting through. And I think that's the most important thing as a teacher now, with a lot of experience. Yep, we do the maths, we do the English, and what have you, but for me, the most important thing is getting these children believing in themselves, raising the self-esteem, showing them that they can do things, helping them along the way, but preparing them for that next step that they can do what they believe they can do, and just having that confidence to be the best that they can be and not compare themselves with other people, because there's always going to be those academic differences, and not, judging those children on the same playing field. It's not fair. It's not a just playing field.
Yeah.
It's the old adage of that cartoon, isn't it, where, all these animals are stood there and the test today is climbing a tree. So the monkey goes and exceeds and the penguin fails because the penguin can't climb trees. And we expect all our children to be academic in some ways, and they're not all academic. We do their best. But as I say, the key thing now in education, I think, is developing character. Absolutely. Like what you guys are doing. Like you say, I'm a massive fan of what you're doing. It's what every school needs. Yeah. And we don't see that all the time. We get in children with low aspirations. Ever get a chance to go in schools and do an assembly and do a talk about my adventures? I always start by saying, put your hands up who's got big dreams. And you see a lot of children sort of shifting a little bit and then looking down and not putting hands up, and you might get 7 or 8 hands up. You think, oh my God, they've not got big dreams. And at the end of it, hopefully more hands are going up, but it's like low aspirations. Yeah. And we've got to get into that. Why have children? Yeah.
Do you think that's societal pressure, Steve, where people assume that they've got to conform?
I think there definitely is that. And in schools, we promote that, don't we? That, success is based on passing your tests and passing your exams, even from a low age, spelling tests. And but it's about being your best, isn't it? Sure. Some kids are good at spelling, some kids are not so good at spelling at this point. But the ones who are getting a 10 out of 10 are the successful ones, and the ones who are not are not successful. Then it's your SATs, and then it's test, and that's where it's best. And then do really well and stay in for A-levels, and then go to university, and then get a good job, and then get yourself in debt by getting a mortgage, having 2 or 3 children, and then work for the rest of your life, paying your mortgage off, and then, at 67, 68, 70, retire and then go and live the rest of your life. And it's like, no, come on. Yeah. You live your life alongside all that, don't you? Go and travel, go and see the world, and that world's there waiting for you.
I think you find a lot of young people, Steve, seeing themselves, you alluded to before, the tree analogy, seeing themselves as a failure because academically they're not flourishing. They might be middle of the pack, they might be quiet, they might be reserved, or they might be failing, they might be behind where they should be. But their values could be incredibly strong. Yeah. And there's a backstory behind every young person, right? You don't know what that person's been through or what they faced that morning or what's going on at home or anything along them lines. So the very fact that they're limiting themselves or even prejudging themselves as, well, my ceiling is here because that's how I'm performing at the moment. Because academically, that's what I'm being told. Where in fact, there's a whole wide world out there. Some of the most successful people on earth weren't great at all in primary and secondary school. I caveat that with, I think it's super important to have a really strong education and for people to engage with school. Nonetheless, that's not your success factor. That's not your limiting factor. It's purely going to give you potentially short-term wider opportunity.
It's a good work ethic, isn't it? I think you can still a good work ethic. Work harder, whatever you do, and be the best you can be, isn't it? But you like say, you get that child who's sat on what they deem the bottom table all the time. That self-esteem, it's eroding away all the time, isn't it? It's about giving children all opportunities to succeed, isn't it? In whatever different ways, isn't it? Exactly. Whether it's PE or the musical side of things, the arts. But, those subjects often are sidelined at the expense of your maths and your English because, we're not doing PE today because, we're not finishing maths. That's not right. That shouldn't be happening, Art, we're going to give an hour a week to or an hour a fortnight to. It's about giving those children a chance to shine, isn't it? And making them feel seen.
So then back to your adventures then, Stu. It's a big question and probably something you get asked all the time. What do you look back on as your biggest challenge to date?
I think the Amazon jungle was a turning point.
Okay.
It made me realise that, I can do more than these 1 marathons. Because the Amazon jungle led to the Arctic Ice Ultra, which was, again, 6 marathons, 5 days through the Arctic wilderness, from a February half term, middle of winter, minus 38 degrees, self-supported again. But for me, it was breaking it down into manageable little chunks, which all the challenges are. Whatever the distances you're covering, it's like, well, you don't think about the whole distance, the whole 40 marathons. Think about the first step. Yeah. The first step becomes the first mile, becomes the first checkpoint, becomes the first day. Done. Right, let's think about day 2. Let's not think about 40 marathons. Let's think about just day 1. Then we'll think about day 1 tomorrow. And you break things down, whatever it is in life, isn't it, that you've got this big undertaking or it's getting on top of you a little bit, whether it's exams and so forth. Just split it down to small, manageable chunks. A lot of little successes, pats on the back as you've achieved these little steps. And before you know it, you've done your 14 marathons.
Absolutely.
But I would say the Amazon jungle was probably the toughest. There were more dark moments, lonely moments, in the jungle, in the night, where the easy option would have been to just to quit. Right. But it was a case of just keep moving forward, keep pushing. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but we can do this. Yeah. And that positive mindset, 1 step at a time, keep going. Think about the kids in school, think about the charity we're raising money for, and just think about, why we're starting in the first place. Yeah. I've not come all this way to quit if I don't have to.
So when you go into these countries Do you get involved with the locals, communities? Do you get to
as much
know
as
who they
possible,
are?
as much as possible. And that's a great thing about it, seeing the culture, being part of the culture. Sometimes if it's a short holiday, it's in, challenge, back home again, and I always think it's a bit of a shame, but the holidays are restrictive. But if we get the chance, so Uganda's a prime example there. So I went to Uganda in 2018. A challenge of a different type. It was to do the Uganda Marathon.
Right.
I'd always wanted to go to Africa and get involved in sort of some hands-on project work. And I saw this event, the Uganda Marathon, which was a week-long adventure, getting involved in community projects and running a marathon at the end of the week. I thought, you know what, that's great. And that was like an in-betweeny challenge. It was in May, June holiday. I saw a big challenge in the summer. I thought, yeah, this sounds perfect. So I went in 2018 and it blew me away. It was getting involved, went to an orphanage, went to schools, did a little bit of teaching, helping to build certain things, painting and so forth, fully immersed in the community life. And it came to the marathon at the end of the week and I thought, this is going to be a non-entity. This week's been amazing.
Yeah.
But the marathon was special. It was running through the villages. I talk about, I'm a big one for high fives.
Yeah.
There must be 1,000 high fives. Kids were every
Red
corner,
Rohan.
giggling, laughing and joking, running with you and just having the most joyous time, just taking my time, getting out there, 2 loops, 2 half marathon loops, and it was just magical. Right. And Uganda then got into my heart type of thing. And while we were there in the projects, there was a conversation I had with Dr. James, who set a school up on Kalangala Island in Lake Victoria. And this was the spark, if you like, for setting my own charity up, Team Hill Charitable Trust. And he set this little school up on the island, and I was saying, well, what's the next project? It was only 2 little classrooms just to, provide an education for the children on the island, because there hadn't been a school there before. He said, we need to build a dormitory so that these children can sleep safely on site. He said, because some of our children are attacked on their way to school. And these little dots, 6, 7-year-olds, and then thinking attacked by, human predators. And you think, oh my God, it knocks you sick. I said, well, what would that cost to build this dormitory that would ultimately sleep maybe 70 children? And he said, whatever many thousand shillings. It's about £6,000. Right. And I thought, that's not a lot of money.
Attacked by who, sorry, Steve? What?
Human beings, so male, predators type of thing.
Bloody hell.
And it's like, scary,
It's
sickening thought.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's awful thought that this happened. He said, we want to be able to sleep on site safely.
Yeah.
So £6,000 for me wasn't a massive amount to be able to build a dormitory to keep these children safe. So I'd done fundraising for many years throughout all the challenges, and it was always a case that at the start of the year, the children nominated charities close to the heart to raise money for, which was great. And we'd raise money, and we'd sometimes raise £10,000 with a variety of things. As a team together, we'd do car washes and cake sales and all sorts of things, and people would sponsor me through Just Giving. And we'd send a cheque off to a big charity in London, and you get a little letter back saying, thanks very much, Right.
And
I think there's a realisation that I wanted to set a charity up myself and have a bit of control over where that money went and to make a difference and to positively know that money was going to where it should be. And I came home and had a chat to friends and family and what have you, Di and Dave, who are trustees of the charity now, and it was a case of this conversation. And I said, I want to set a charity up and I want the money that we raise to help local people and families that need a bit of support within Greater Manchester, but also to support a project in Uganda every year. First one being this dormitory. 100% back me, all friends and family, let's do it. Team Hill Charitable Trust was born just before lockdown. And I go back to Uganda every year now. We've got 5 schools that we support, we've got a clinic we support, a dispensary, and I'm known fondly as Uncle Steve over there now by all the community. I feel it's like my second home. And it's just amazing that, like you say, you talk about being part of that community and the culture. And as I said, I go back every year now. I've become the chair of the board of the Uganda Marathon for my sins, so helping to organise the marathon now. But it has got a special place in my heart, and it's somewhere I want to spend more time in the future. I want to take some of my pupils, past pupils, as they get a bit older. Like I said every year, come to Uganda. It is a life-changing experience. But we're there now. We've just built a well that's providing clean water now to 500 people in the community, and it just feels right. So this is alongside teaching,
absolutely,
challenges, training, and then we've got the charity now as well. So every year I go back for 2 weeks, and visit these schools, and I get a chance to do a little bit of teaching there. And wow, it's humbling in many ways that these children have got very, very little. They just want an education. Yet they've got everything that our kids have lost in some ways.
I was going to say, what do you notice like the key differences between them and?
They've got a joy for life. That they're happy. They're happy to see you. You get the warmest welcome from them. They want to show you the school, even though it's just a hovel in some ways. They're proud that they're getting an education. They've got nothing beyond that. They're playing with tyres and they're playing with sticks like 50, 60 years ago over here. But they're happy. We think that these countries are developing. We need to help them develop and bring the internet and bring the phones. But look at the impact that phones have had on our children. It's a damaging effect in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing what it can do, but these children, as I said, have got nothing, but they've got everything. And I come back, it's not our children's fault, but they've got everything that our children have lost.
Right.
An appreciation of the very small things in life. There's a quote that really resonated with me when I went for the first time on painting on the side of a gallery. And it was, some people are so poor, all they have is money. And it's right that there's more to life, isn't there, than just the money. It's about, richness in the heart. And as I say, it's become a big part of my life now, Uganda. And it's just great to be able to support these schools. So you're building classrooms and dormitories and, providing beds and mosquito nets and, things that are needed. And recently this well, and it's like, money well spent. So we have fundraising events throughout the year. The kids from school come, they wear the Team Hill red hoodies, they have the badges on, they're proud to be part of it. Yeah. And it's a tangible thing. It's we can talk about making a difference in class. Yeah. Well, they're actually physically making a difference. I share the projects with them in class, and they're part of that, and helping these children to get an education. And I would love no more than anything to take a group of kids over, in the future. 15, 16, 17-year-old, it will be a life-changing experience. They'd come back different people. That's what I say about these challenges. You get to a part of the world that you might never dream of going to. You see the culture, you meet the people, and it's always great to meet the kids. In Indonesia, I was running through some villages, and the kids are popping their head over the school wall, and just laughing and giggling, and you get the high fives, and kids are kids. No matter where you go in the world, kids are kids, and you see those big beaming smiles. They're happy to see you. Might be a strange man sort of thing running past, but it's special, and I think it's what it's about. Experiencing the culture as well as taking on the challenge.
I remember a quote from Billy Connolly from a few years ago, and he said, when he was a child, yet it was vastly different in Uganda. He didn't know he was poor till someone told him. Yeah. And I think that's such an interesting thing. Yeah. If you don't know anything other, then you make do with what you've got. You make happiness and
you're
joy
happy and
with
content
what
with that. Absolutely. And that's what it should be, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and I suppose the amount of external influences that happen in the UK, and the amount of pressures on parents as well to conform, and the battle for always having the latest thing, whether it be something tangible or a phone or whatever that might be. It's extreme pressure on parents.
Ridiculous pressures.
But if that isn't there naturally, you make do with what you've got. You make joy and happiness with what you have.
And you're happy with it.
Absolutely.
At the moment, no matter what you've got, you want bigger and better, because someone else has got a bigger and better thing, and you're surrounded by it, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's the thing with this social media. And I'm seeing younger and younger children getting addicted to it.
Yeah.
Sadly. There's 7-year-old, 8-year-old getting phones. In effect, in a roundabout way, once you give them that phone and open up that world to them, you give them a sort of addiction that they're stuck to that phone, then, aren't they, for possibly the rest of their lives?
Yeah.
Look up, see what's around you. And we're all guilty of it to a degree, aren't we? Yeah. We all look at our phones, but as I say, it's about putting it down sometimes, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And getting out in nature and getting out and seeing the world, through your eyes and not through a phone.
And was it always the plan to write a book?
Never the plan to write a book, no. So this is the exciting thing, as I said, from that moment in 2009 to taking the challenges. My life changed for the better, like I said, and the opportunities that, it opened up for me. You go down a path, you take the path, you don't know where it's going to lead. Yeah. It might not lead anywhere, but the book was never planned, as I say, and that's another message to the kids. I've written a book. You can write a book. Yeah. It was someone who'd heard me do a talk before lockdown, and had approached me afterwards and said, Steve, you need to write a book. You've got a great story to tell. You should write a book about it. And that's the first time anyone had said that to me. And I laughed and said, whatever. Yeah. Me write a book. I haven't got the time. I won't know where to start. And, the usual excuses. Yeah. And he approached me a couple of times and said, I've written a book myself, and I've written a couple of books, and I'd help you. I'd give you some guidance and give you some tips. Didn't think much of it. And then lockdown came. And again, he got in contact. I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. What's to lose, sort of thing. And my goodness, it was a great experience. It was an adventure of a different kind. In lockdown, I couldn't do any travelling, as none of us could. So I like to say that it was an adventure of a different time. Rather than chopping my way through jungles, I was chopping my way through paragraphs and sentences and chapters and so forth, and coming up with titles for chapters and the book cover. And it was just a way of reliving some of the adventures, as I say, and it brought back lots and lots of memories. And it was an amazing experience, and nothing I expected. And it was hard work. It was pretty much a 2-year sort of process. But to get it to the point of publication, and then to have the boxes, some boxes delivered to home, and sitting there looking at the box and thinking, I don't want to open it. What if I'm disappointed? Yeah. But opening that book, feeling the box and feeling the book, it was like nothing else. It was magical. And I had a couple of book launches just that year, so it was 2022. I had a very nice posh book launch for the adults, violinist and lovely Prosecco and all that. And I sat there for 5 hours, signing books. It's a constant flow of people who are new, family, friends, and what have you. It was an amazing night, a room full of magic. And then the week after, the book launch for the kids, which was as special. It had to be for the kids. So all my class came and kids from school came. I was excited to get a copy of Sir's book.
Amazing.
We had a great time. And one of my highlights of teaching was the Monday after the book launch with the children. I'm sat in class doing the registration and looked up, and pretty much the whole class were sat there reading a copy of What's Next, Sir. And I sat there and thought, wow, how many teachers get to experience that?
Yeah.
Your whole class sat reading a copy of your book about your adventures, about somebody sat in front of them. And it was a moment I just sort of took in. I thought, that doesn't happen often. That's a one-off.
Yeah.
And then it was the responses from some of them that blew me away. I was saying, like, what chapter are you up to? And they said, oh, sir, I've just climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Right.
Sir, I've just been to the Amazon jungle. I've just met the Queen. And I thought, wow, they are living the adventures.
You can make lessons off the back of that, Steve.
But this is the thing, and it was like, wow, they are living my adventures through the book. They're in that adventure. They're doing it. That's powerful.
Yeah.
I thought, job done. I could die a happy man tomorrow type of thing. I thought, brilliant. And it's just gone from there. The success of the book's just been phenomenal. Were
you expecting that? I read last night, Steve, some of the reviews, and people can go and have a look on Amazon and invest in a book and take a good read. But it's remarkable, the feedback. Were you expecting that?
I didn't know what to expect. It was a new thing for me completely. I didn't know what constituted a successful book.
Yeah.
Was it, 100 copies sold, 200 copies sold? And I looked and, and it was like, if you sell 400 or 500 copies, you've done extremely well for a non-famous person who's doing the first book. That doesn't seem a lot, sort of thing. Within a month, the first 1,000 have been sold. We get another 1,000 printed. I'm on 3,000 gone now. And then the feedback, and you're a little bit frightened in some ways. I thought, when the book was out there, that book launch, and people went home with that book, I thought, crap, it's out there now.
Yeah.
I've no control over it.
Yeah.
Those 2 years of writing my personal thoughts and feelings and opening up a little bit, my challenges, that's out now. And I've no control. What if people don't like it?
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a thought. I thought, well, it's too late now. But that was, you feel a bit vulnerable in some ways.
Sure.
What if people don't like it? But the feedback was just like, it blew me away.
Yeah.
People said I went home and just stayed up all night and read it. And I couldn't put it down. I'm thinking, wow, how powerful is that something that you've just written over that period of time is really entertaining people. And people saying, I'm reading it and it's as though you're sat in the end of my bed sort of talking to me. It's in your voice, it's your tone and all that. Right. I thought, wow, brilliant. And then the feedback and the reviews, it's like, my God, this as far exceeded anything I could have imagined.
And would you do it again?
I would do another. You'd tell me the time again, I would. And the kids have come up with the title for me. So this was What's Next, Sir.
Yeah.
What Sir did next. It's obvious, isn't it? Yeah. But I don't know.
They're doing half your job for you, this.
They are. They're doing great. But I want to write a children's book. I do want to write a book that maybe younger, so my kids can read that.
Yeah.
But maybe 3 to 5 year olds, where there's a character, a Mr. Hill character maybe, who goes on adventures, takes maybe kids out along with him, and it's all the character traits that you want to instill, like teamwork and resilience and determination and character, people that you meet on the journey, being kind to people, and just having maybe different chapters of different environments, or an Arctic chapter, a jungle chapter, a desert chapter, a mountain chapter, and the journey that Mr. Hill goes on, the adventure of Mr. Hill with his children, and just really developing that character side of things that you want in children, for 3 to 5 year olds. So
let's talk after the pod.
Let's do that. Somebody could do. Let's collaborate. Let's do that.
I'll write that down.
It's about everything's exciting projects, isn't it? It's just you do these things. Well, what can we do next? How can we have a bigger impact on more children? What big thing was to get a copy of the book into every school in Oldham. We did that. We got some through sponsorship. Every book school in Oldham's got a copy, and Rochdale. And I just thought, I want every kid to read this book because it does inspire. It does.
Exactly.
Make you follow your dreams, want to realise that you can get out there and follow those dreams. That was a big thing, but little steps, small steps.
Yeah. And to ask an obvious question, what is next, sir, for you?
What's next for me? Well, school on Monday.
Back in.
Some holidays is finished, so back to the inset Monday and Tuesday. Kids in Wednesday. And away we go. A new school year, as I said, the year 30 teaching. Still excited. Yeah. Still look forward to that new class, having that chat with them on that first day and the excitement of the year ahead and that journey with them. So that's for me. And then, challenges. So,
Have you got your eye on anything in particular?
As I say, I've got a list of things that I can do that are beyond school holidays. So I want to run across New Zealand. Right. I want to do a challenge in Australia, but run across New Zealand. Climb Everest. I want to do the South Pole Marathon.
To summit Everest?
I'd love to summit Everest. And then it's always been there, but then you see some of the pictures and the photographs of the queues to the summit, and I think, it loses a bit of its magic when you see that type of thing. But again, it's expensive. To go with a reputable company, you're looking at £40,000-50,000. Right. As a poor old teacher, you can't justify that. But there's other mountains. So Mira Peak, Island Peak in the Himalayas. So I do want to go back to the Himalayas and climb some, 7,000 metre peaks potentially. But it gets harder because I think I've run these sort of marathons. You want something to be different, but you've only got certain, jungles, deserts, mountains. Yeah. But this year again, back to the jungles, but it was a different experience from the Amazon jungle.
Yeah.
So for me, what's next is just to keep pushing my boundaries and using that to inspire, the children that I teach and anyone who I get asked to do a talk for, because the impact is there, and you don't expect it. You just think, who wants to listen to me? But when you do a talk and you get some amazing feedback, it's like, well, yeah, it has made a difference to people.
Absolutely.
And that's really special. So, I'm getting older. Teaching will come to an end at some point, but I don't want to slow down. I'll keep doing the challenges, keep sharing it, getting more schools to share the story and to inspire more children, like you're doing yourselves, isn't it? Developing that character that we know is so important.
Exactly.
Not just for school, for life, beyond school, isn't it? That will take you through life.
So there's one piece, if you had one piece of advice for both adults and children about character or the skills and values you've learned over your challenges and career as a teacher, what would that be?
Yeah, a piece of advice, I think, first and foremost, would be not to worry about what other people think of you.
Right.
Don't go through life comparing yourself to other people, because I think it's so restrictive, young people especially, and older people. We're too bothered about what other people think of us. So don't worry about what other people think of you. Believe in yourself, as I say, and have those big dreams, and make sure those dreams do you justice, and have the confidence to follow those dreams. And if you fail and have setbacks along the way, it's all part of it. Just embrace it and learn from it, because that's when we learn the most, that's when we grow the most, when we have setbacks. It's not going to be a smooth road. Life isn't going to be a smooth road, but enjoy the ups and downs and just roll with it, type of thing, isn't it? And get outdoors. Go and explore our world out there. It's a wonderful world. It's a magical world. Don't restrict yourselves to just your local environment. Get out there, see it, have the wow moments wherever they may be. See the sunset, see the sunrises, see these special things out there, and live your life on your terms, not on other people's terms. Don't listen to the knockers in life, because it's not about them. People who tell you that your dreams are too big. Yeah. No, it's not about them. It's about you believing in it. Get out there, follow those dreams, get excited about it, and keep setting new dreams, and love your life. And if you can make a bit of a difference along the way with other people, take them with you as well, and that positivity. Yeah.
Steve, it's been amazing. So for those listeners that didn't know much about you and want to know more, either for your book, your obviously podcasts, the work you do in schools, etc., where can people find you?
I've got a website, which is www.stevehillmbe.com. I'm on Facebook under Steve Hill, Instagram, SteveHill_MBE. And I try to share these adventures and share the messages. I like to think, the things I put on social media are positive things.
Absolutely.
Whether it's Uganda projects and the challenges and the messages. So, it's out there and on LinkedIn as well. So, it's great to, if people follow and see what I'm up to, is in some small way inspiring. And if it makes a small difference for one person and gets them out there, as I say, it's job done.
Absolutely. Steve, it's been amazing to catch up with you, honestly. I think we've obviously worked together in years gone by, and you've worked with Commando Joes in years gone by, but to hear your story it's just so inspirational, and fingers crossed it's the start of another journey with Commando Joes too.
Absolutely. No, like I say, it's been great to come along and share, because as I say, I'm a massive fan of Commando Joes. Everything you're about and you stand for, your values, is everything I believe in as a teacher. Yeah. It's about developing character, developing those children, developing confidence, and getting them out there doing and working together. Absolutely. Which is everything you're doing. So keep up the great work you're doing, and I'm proud to be, in a small way, part of it. Yeah.
Likewise. Lovely. Cheers, Steve. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Great to have you on.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you for listening to today's podcast with Steve Hill MBE. Remember, success isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about stepping forward with courage and making things happen. If today's episode's inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe and share so we can spread the message even further. Join us next time to hear more from character-filled characters. Thank you for listening. Take care.